How would Ippo Makinoichi do if he had to survive in Joe's era and face all his rivals? Let's see about it. But first, I want your hands down and your chins up. Ready, box! Alright, y'all, for this video, I want to talk about what if Ippo is actually in Joe's era. Meaning that he will be sent down to the Shōwa era. He will have Danpei as his coach. Still have Mehmet Nishi as his right-hand man. And he'll have to squeeze himself down to bantamweight to face all of Joe's rivals. We'll talk about how he'll do that, how he'll feel doing that, and how far he'd actually get and how his matches may turn out. Now, it's all speculation, all headcanon. Feel free to disagree or say what he would have actually done in the comments below. Let me know how you feel. I'm interested in how you see this. So let's start off with let's set the scene. This is post-war Japan. They surrendered in the war, and during this time it's called the Shōwa era. It began in 1945 after Japan's surrender and ended in 1989, which is actually when Hajime Ippo started. So I wonder if that was purposeful or not. But this current era is the Shōwa era, so from going forward, refer to this era as the Shōwa era. So even in an era like this, where masculinity, overall nationalism, sense of self, the nation of Japan is beating down, and people are sad and depressed. Poverty is everywhere, and the people need a symbol of hope. And Joe became that symbol during his time in the Shōwa era. So how would Ippo become that symbol? Let's see. Setting the stage. Ippo is walking the same way Joe is through the town. He's homeless as well. And knowing Ippo, he has positivity, but even in a time like this, he would still be a little depressed. Going through, he trips over Danpei. If he does trip over Danpei, he's type to apologize profusely, talk to him. Even when Danpei's customer, he's probably try to walk away and leave. I think during this time, Danpei might somehow grab Ippo and see how strong he is, think about him being a boxer. And Ippo being the nice guy he is, even though he's trying to go to a destination or walk away, Danpei will try to talk to him. He won't shut him and try to, ignore him or push him off. And the neighborhood kids come around and start throwing the things that Ippo will try to, avoid conflict as much as possible. And for the most part, Danpei's harassed him. He won't try to shoo him away like Joe did or punch him. Now, when the mafia comes, this will be the big thing. When the mafia comes, attacking Sachi, Ippo would jump in and try to stop it. But instead of getting ready books, he'll put his head and hands down, do dogeza, like he did when Teru was getting attacked by Teihei and his crew. Obviously, the mafia probably start soft mount and stuff like that. And I believe that during this time, Danpei may convince him to get his hands up, jump in there, try to save him. And when he sees Danpei getting hit on, I feel like Ippo try to grab one of the mafia guys and throw him back with his strength. When that comes in, then they start fighting. Danpei's like, throw your punch, throw your jab, starts hitting them. Maybe Ippo, throws a couple punches, scares him off with his one punch knockout power, So I feel like in this timeline, he would be a fairly large size, a decent sized man. Think about bantamweight, that's what Joe was. He was giving mafia hell. So at Ippo's size, he definitely get him, better push him back, scare him off. I think from this, that's when Danpei would see his potential in Ippo to become a boxer. Now I think when they bring Nishi in, I think Ippo whoops him down too. And Danpei convinced him to be a boxer, get money, and get paid. And Ippo at this time, he's homeless. If he went through the same thing Joe's went through, he'll want to make some type of money, have a place to stay. Now I do believe that while Danpei is working and paying him to go to train, he would actually train diligently. I do think he'll still be inspiring the kids, and there'll be his crew hanging out with him. Now, I often on the sideline, it may come down to the kids either convincing Joe or Danpei convincing Joe, hey, we do a strongman routine where you arm wrestle people, or you show how strong your power is by breaking faces of someone with one punch, things of that nature, just to make money on the side. And I think through doing this, he may accidentally and unknowingly catch a panhandling charge, and through this panhandling charge, that's how we now get him to the prison. And this is where things really start to take flight for Ippo. So, while in the prison, again, I think it pretty much goes the same way with the boys attacking him and assaulting him when he first get there. Now, I think through this attack and assault, he'll want to be stronger. And same thing that Joe did, he'll go knock the boys out one by one and get his strength back up. And he'll take Danpei's lessons to heart. Now, I don't see him trying to escape. Because at this time, Ippo's heart hasn't changed thoroughly. Because he's going to change throughout this. He's not going to be the same Ippo and so passive. But I don't think he would have changed too much by now. He has some boxing lessons. He can hit hard. He can punch. He has I'm putting him at one punch knockout power basically. But I don't see him having that edge just yet. So he wouldn't try to escape the prison at all. He tried to do his sentence because he'll feel guilty for actually getting sent to prison. Now, in this time, the prison tournament will happen. You know, I don't think he'll get mad or try to fight Yokio or Shiraki when she does the play. But I do think when the tournament comes around, he'll be amped up to fight against Rikishi. Not in a vicious sense, but to test his strength. I think Rikishi want to fight him too, so it won't be such a vicious rivalry, but a rivalry nonetheless. And I see him beating Rikishi or having to draw the same way during their first matchup. Because at this time he's still a featherweight, you know. Rikishi's a welterweight, so he's not going to be able to just bully and muscle him around. It's going to be a little bit of a struggle, and he has power too. We've seen people knock out people in higher weight classes before, so it'll be a respectable squabble. Definitely a good squabble, you know. But I still see going to a draw because Danpei will focus heavily on the counter. So I don't see the Toru coming out on top again in this one. Now, the second Ippo plows to the prison tournament. His dash speed is unmatched. He's going to take everybody out. Now, I do think the second time he fights Rikishi, though, when Joe surprised him when Rikishi was leaving, I see him losing that time because Ippo wouldn't cheat and put a rock in his glove, and Rikishi be prepared for the counter, so he beat him. But the rematch is ready to happen, and they're ready to go. So he gets out. He trains hard. He gets out. Now I think here's the next change we have to make, because he's so powerful in higher weight classes. I think it'll be easy to avoid him. You know, so they're having a hard time getting to the next round, getting their pro licenses, going up, and things of that nature. I think Danpei will play it as will shrink you down a weight class and have you fight against the bantamweights. You know what I mean? Like all this power. Now, what this will do, obviously, it's gonna like take a toll on Ippo, same way it takes a toll on Miyata and Rikishi as well. But not so much as Rikishi because he wouldn't be that big. But it's gonna cut his stamina down. But it's gonna raise his power. That's the trade-off I had to give it. So Ippo almost has, let's see, 10x the power, but he's 5x less stamina. It's gonna come into play as the story goes on. And during this time, him and Mamnishi are friends. So after you fight Ippo, they have Fist of Life. They're friends. They're good homies. He's going to be convinced by Danpei to go and pretty much attack Wolf. So I think he needs a lot more convincing, and Danpei have to be in the room with him, but he still goes down pretty much the same way. Even Danpei like, hey, your fighter can't survive one punch from this person. Like, and during this time, Danpei almost take the Don King role to help push Makunouchi forward. In this version, Danpei has more confidence because he has Ippo, and Ippo is kind of doing what he says blindly, whereas Joe was getting pushback and things of that nature. Now, when the Wolf Kaneguchi fight happens and he attacks and brings the children back, I think Ippo, he'll be upset. He might a little talking to from Danpei to actually cross over that line. This will be the first instinct we see of him becoming a beast. Because Danpei probably come and just start talking to him like,
yo, this nigga's wildin'.
And Ippo fight gets to defend the kids. You know what? Same way he defended Kumi when Saramoto threw a punch at her. He just stayed up all night thinking about it. And the match pretty much goes the same way. Here's the thing. Ippo has a lot of durability as a featherweight. And obviously dropping weight class and doing that weight cut is going to bring him down and like affect durability in a sense. Maybe like -3, but I don't see him getting dropped. So I shouldn't say same way. I don't see him really getting dropped or hurt too bad by Wolf. Or a lot of Joe's opponents, I don't see him falling down on. I see him just kind of muscling through, if that makes sense. Most of his fights, same as with Joe, will be more of internal struggle, like his growth and things like that. But I see him knocking out Wolf, maybe even easier. No, easier than Joe did. Easier, even though Wolf has the counter. Ippo will still be able to defeat him. You know, and he'll be able to take his punches too, because he'll be used to taking. I guess when he was taking featherweight punches, well, he was taking Mammoth Nishi's punches in this aspect. He was what, cruiserweight, welterweight? I wouldn't say he was heavyweight, but even if he was heavyweight, Ippo was used to taking his punches and his natural durability. Because we're keeping Ippo with his same starter stats, like he was on a fishing boat. He was just born that way in this instance. He's mostly building up his mindset. So beats Wolf, goes into the Toru Rikishi fight. Same thing happens. Toru passes away. Now, in this instance, this is going to be one of his first mental changes, like heavy shift. Because now we saw how sad he was after his first depression. After he takes a life of a fighter, he's going to be way worse for wear. Way worse for wear. And I do think he'll start fighting underground arenas as a way to cope with depression in this sense. But again, in this storyline, I feel like Danpei is one of the ones that bring him back, you know. And he may not even go to underground arena. He may just keep. Nope, I take that back. Because keeping the same storyline. He's going to underground arena for his depression, and Danpei is one of the one that helps bring him back. You know, helps get him back there. He may talk to Yoko. I do think in this storyline, Ippo is more open to Yoko's suggestions. He hasn't been too jaded yet, but we're getting to that point. Next up is the the Joe vomiting stage, not being able to throw punches to the head or the temple, only to the body. And I think this is where Ippo will start having this, trying to steal his resolve and get his mindset back together. But that was a tough time for Joe until he finally locked back in, especially in the Carlos Rivera fight. That was like the point that kind of made him get back up and get ready and start throwing punches. Really, well, it wasn't him, but like throwing punches to the head without being able to vomit. That's when he locked in and became like a real true fighter. To me, the Carlos Rivera fight is the same equivalent to Ippo versus Sendo 2. Ippo had to step up, strap his nuts on, and become the main character. Now, Ippo, going forward, is kind of speeding through. I know this video is kind of long, so I'm going to try to hit the hot points. Ippo versus Carlos Rivera. I'm kind of grouping all the fights together. Ippo's coming in a brand new mindset, iron-willed, and I think we're getting closer to the building of a beast. I think he want to do it because, he's becoming the beast, becoming the animal, not caring if he hurts right now. And then when Carlos starts cheating, I think instead of Ippo cheating back, he'll be so upset he'll actually go harder and like really trying to retake his head off like did with Kojima. So this will be another element that brings back the Fuchsia, the wind god. Fuga. Next up is Kim Jong-bi, the human computer. This was a tough one for Joe. This was tough because this is one of the first time he had to deal with harsh weight management. Now, up to this point, Ippo will deal with hard weight management, but I feel like if he's eating before the fights and get his weight back up, it wouldn't be too much of a hassle. It won't take too much out of him. So I think going to this fight, again, with the dash and speed, the counters, and the weight and power advantage, I don't see him having too much trouble with Kim Jong. And to be honest with you, one of the biggest issues that Joe had with him was his guilt for Rikishi. He was in his own head. But once he realized that Kim was kind of using his trauma as an excuse, Joe just went hand with him, started beating the brakes off him, man. Started beating the brakes off him, tipped his hat. So I think the same thing is going to happen with Ippo, where he'll come in not feeling guilty over Rikishi because he's already been cutting weight, but not giving Kim the edge, the mental edge over him. And again, knockout, a win. He still attributes it to Rikishi because of what they went through. Obviously, because in this timeline, that would have been one of his first rivals and first teammates. And again, he took the man's life, so that had already helped with taking the man's life. So that would still stick with him. Next up, the HARIMAU fight. Now, this is the one I feel like Joe completely makes the switch to Beast. There's been little signs, little things that had to come and lock in, but this one right here, between the biting, the crazy buzzsaw uppercut, that. Ippo will have to lock in and really try to destroy this man because he's not a high flyer and athletic person as Joe. We can't jump up and punch over his head and punch him down. So his only move, his only come through would have to be, this might actually be the birth of the Depsy roll. In the manga term, it might be the birth of the Depsy roll. As he comes in for really try to give it to him and knock him out. Dance around. Oh, I still have Joe drawing to Carlos and May losing the second time just based on footwork alone, just based on his movement and things of that nature. Because I don't want to feel like, Ippo gets mad, he gets a buff coming. That's not how boxing really works. And his stamina is still cut, his durability is not all the same. So that's be kept in. So I see him losing to Carlos, losing to Rikishi as well, and beating HARIMAU, defeating Kim as well. Just based on Kim didn't seem like he had too many frills. He had the same power as Ricardo Martinez, but also we saw blood. He started freaking out, so also a crazy weakness. And finally, we get into the big Jose Mendoza, the big bad of the series.
This right here is how you trip on a nigga, people. This right here is how you trip on a nigga, people. Shit done.
Ippo is jaded, all right? He's been through the prison. He's been through the corruptness of the boxing associations trying to hold him down. He's had to end his best friend's life. He's fought literal machines and beasts. And he's come to the very next level, the very next level. He's been through all this, all that, on his psyche, on his body, and he's came out on top every single time. Somehow, wait, would it be a mental win, a physical win, an emotional win? He's came out on top every single time. And one of his last best friends, which is Carlos Rivera, has now been crippled by the man in front of him, Jose Mendoza, and he would not let that slide. He would come with the same vitriol and anger that Joe had. He would give it to him, and I see him antagonizing not in the same way as Joe. You know, he might try more antagonize with strength, trying to shake his hand too hard, step into him face, staring him down. He wouldn't be a loudmouth about it. Like when he came to when Carlos comes to the gym, or when Jose comes to the gym, he's going to sit back and just like, I'm coming for you next. Like, I'm not gonna be loud. I don't see him being loud and boisterous. He's more the quiet type. This won't take long. I'm not confident I can't hurt him. You seen Ippo say it's crazy. Ippo talk his stuff. He talk that talk sometimes. So he'd be that version of himself. And he would come in with a cold ice demeanor and a power. And he would start putting the tips on Jose Mendoza. And now that we know that Mendoza can't take hits, I'm saying this, I'm putting it on wax. If Ippo was in a Shōwa era and he fought against all of Joe's gallery and rivals opposition, he would be able to beat Jose Mendoza.
God!
Yes, he would have defeated Jose Mendoza. His durability higher than Joe's. But Mendoza couldn't even handle Joe's punches. Imagine what he would do with Ippo's punches. Come on now. And Ippo, you can say Ippo doesn't have the same type of power as Joe. Ippo has knocked someone out the same way Joe has in his own weight class, which is above Joe's. Okay? And the only reason that Rikishi Toro had lost his life is because he was dehydrated. His brain shook around his head and he got a hemorrhage. Okay? Joe, Ippo, different power levels, different weight classes for a reason. He would defeat Jose Mendoza. Now, I think after defeating Jose Mendoza, he would take a break back from boxing because I think he'll feel he done all he could do. I think his journey becomes more of an introspective one of dealing with the dramas and horrors he's faced. Maybe open a boxing gym as well as a fishing gym. In this version, I see more because in this version I already have a boxing gym. I see him taking up fishing as a pastime to help deal with his trauma and be at peace with himself. He still takes care of Carlos, and I see him maybe going up with Shoko. See at that, if Ippo's in the Shōwa era, he would have had a happy ending, not a good ending. Because even though he may have never unlocked the Debs roll or the Gazelle punch or some of the punches that saved him throughout his time in the actual like Class A tournaments and going forward with the Champion Carnival and the First Step arcs and all and Champion Road arcs, all the arcs he had and special moves he learns, his natural talent matched with the basics would take him through most of his fights, especially if he dropped down a weight class. So, that being said, this video is long enough. Let me know what you think. Put the comments below. Yes, we have Joe Yabuki if he was in Ippo's era, and hey, had to go through Ippo's role gallery, how that would turn out. So wait on it for that. You can build a community page for the team you like. Comment below how I did in this video. I'll catch you on the next one.